that the diasporas live in the United States from Pakistan and from South Asia and from other countries of the global South. I mean, you often realize how little representation they get in the mainstream media in the United States. I mean, they are cited in the media or shown in the media almost always when there's something like a crisis or a negative news, some shooting, some alleged act of terrorism, etc. But I think Americans of Pakistani descent, whatever we call them, I mean, all these terminologies are confusing, are really active and important citizens of the United States. So many CEOs, dozens of them in the US alone, Google and this and that. So obviously their interviews and their faces come to the fore, and so there's a greater recognition of that.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to New Wave Media. This is a great new initiative launched by the well-known Raza Rumi, and he's here with us today. Before we begin, I'd like to give a brief introduction about myself. I'll be your host through the various following episodes of this channel. I'm based in Washington, D.C. My name is Ahmed Nauraiz Rana, and I consult with the World Bank as an economist. I've previously done so with the UNDP, as well as with the government of Punjab in Pakistan, and precisely, very briefly, with the Ministry of Economic Development in Canada. Now we are here on this day to both launch this great new initiative and to speak about some of the more pressing issues that our country, Pakistan, is facing. So the New Wave Global Media, it aims to narrate stories from Pakistan, South Asia, and the diasporas that reside in the US and in Europe. Its primary aim is to engage with audiences in the regional and global context, highlighting issues which are often blindsided by conventional media, mainstream media, focusing and shedding the light on topics of human rights, democracy, climate change, technological advancement, digitalization, and economic development. So we aim to take a broader, more academic purview, highlighting non-partisan issues, and more so, what is the way forward for development, and how can the diaspora and people residing in Pakistan can come together on a mutual platform, engage in discourse, and come up with an implementation plan that will help take us country to those peaks which we often wish to achieve, but have at the moment have failed to reach at the moment. And now I would pass on the mic to Raza Rumi, and he is the director of Independent Media Group. He's the founder of Naya Media. He was previously the chief editor at Daily Times. He's also a professor at Cornell. So we have a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of information, a wealth of experience with us. And Raza, please tell us more about this initiative.
Yeah, thank you, Nauraiz, for a very detailed introduction. As you said, I think the real critical point here is that, the diasporas that live in the United States from Pakistan and from South Asia and from other countries of the global South. I mean, you often realize how little representation they get in the mainstream media in the United States, or even for that matter. I mean, they are cited in the media or shown in the media almost always when there's something like a crisis or a negative news, some shooting, some alleged act of terrorism, etc. And then you hear about Pakistan or Pakistanis. Earlier it was all about Afghanistan, Bin Laden, Taliban, bombs, extremism, etc. All of those things are also there. I mean, we're not in denial, but I think the Pakistani diaspora in the United States, or Americans of Pakistani descent, whatever we call them, I mean, all these terminologies are confusing, are really active and important citizens of the United States. And I think not only that they're contributing here, if you look at the thousands of doctors who work in the US, thousands of engineers, technology, specialists or economists like yourself, academics, etc. I mean, they're contributing to American public life every day. And in a way, I mean, for structural reasons, because I mean, this is a media and a public domain which is largely, dominated by the mainstream sort of white perspective perspectives. This diaspora is not finding its way now. The Indian diaspora is finding more of a representation, and largely that is because of their engagement with corporate America. So many CEOs, dozens of them in the US alone, Google and this and that. So obviously their interviews and their faces come to the fore, and so there's a greater recognition of that. But even there, I think it is not adequately represented. What are the issues and concerns of this diaspora, and how are they linked to the countries, what they call as home? Now, home is a very subjective, fluid concept, because you have a home here. I've been to home in DC. I have a home here in upstate New York, but we also think we have another home, back home, or whatever you call it. So home,
Absolutely.
yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
So the thing is that these are homes which are, in this age of global connectivity, globalization, are somehow interlinked. They're no longer separate. Maybe 30, 40 years ago, it was a different case. People would come and not go back for years, or even a phone call was not possible. Now you are in this kind of a technological, reality where you are connected all the time. So the idea is, how do we present those voices? How do we highlight those concerns, as well as showcase some of the achievements of the members of diaspora? So that's one primary goal. But the other important view, in my understanding, is, look, I have, I have two children who are college going young adults. And of course, they are Pakistanis.
Yeah.
My son is a Pakistani and an American. He is a hybrid identity. Now, obviously, what I realize is that, the media he consumes is totally different from us, from you and me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We'll go to
Yeah.
the talk shows and Dawn and this and that. He rarely checks that, right? But obviously he needs more information. He needs more perspectives.
Yeah, and if I may add,
Please.
there's a category of youngsters who are growing up in Pakistan. They're not the majority population, but they happen to be part of those circles which have a very strong influence on policy making. And they also do not tend to consume those Urdu talk shows. They're also very much westernized in their approach, in their education, and their thinking. So it's for the diaspora here, and also for a segment of population that resides in Pakistan.
Yes, exactly. So we'll try and make a kind of a hybrid, experience, just like our identities, just like our, ideas and our concerns and our aims, actually, because, we do think of improving our home here, but we also think of improving our home there. This is the migrants' constant, negotiation and navigation of different worlds. So we'll try and present that. And I'm so glad that, you mentioned me as the founder of this initiative. I think it would have not come along if you were not willing to give your time, your weekends, and now that you finish your work. So you are the one who's going to actually showcase a lot of this stuff and bring those voices on this important platform. So let me ask you, Nauraiz, another. I think you also have been talking to me about this, and so what is your understanding of how this, what kind of content are we going to present? What sorts of people you have in mind that you've shortlisted, or what kind of experts you think will add value here and there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Before I delve into the specifics and logistics of how this program will be carried on, I also wanted to add that this is just focusing on the diaspora is one part of the coin. What we tend to see is that from a Pakistani perspective, the diaspora, usually they tend to be boxed in a certain manner. Their contributions are limited to transferring remittances. That's the main purview in which they're spoken of, they're highlighted. And we haven't been able to develop a very rich network of knowledge transfers, of academics, of industry experts, whether, of businessmen's business to business exchanges, whether it's in the form of venture capital or funds whatsoever. And I feel that I would not say that it is the failure of foreign policy, but it does in one manner or the other tends to reflect a gap in Pakistan's foreign policy. And when we're talking about the growth and development of the country, then foreign policy is as equal and as important a component as local policy making is. And I think this is where we've faltered, we've stayed behind, because if we look at other comparative countries, if we delve into regional comparisons, I mean, we don't need to look afar. We have a country, we can't compare with them in economic terms, but in terms of independence, in terms of creation, in terms of the trajectory of growth, we were very similar ones. And they've been able to establish that network, that sense of patriotism, which is very much reflected both in terms of their networks and connection in the US or in Europe, as well as in their home country. And there's no mystery who I'm referring to. It's a friendly neighbor, India. So I guess this is something that we can really build upon and focus. And in terms of what the objectives and the goals are of this new platform, we have a wealth of academics, a wealth of industry experts, a wealth of people who are leading various professions here in the US and in other parts of the world, who've dedicated their entire lives, for the betterment of communities and societies everywhere around the world. And I believe that their voice matters a lot, because all of them, what I've seen, what I've witnessed, is that they have an inherent sense of desire and aspiration to contribute towards Pakistan in one form or the other. It's a very burning desire, and it's always there.
Great. I think we should invite our viewers to subscribe our channel, like this channel, and share it, and keep a track, because hopefully we'll be frequently uploading different videos and different perspectives. And we certainly want your ideas, your comments and suggestions as we go along. So thank you, Nauraiz, for this, and hope to see you very soon here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Again, thank you for the initiative.